Hello, everyone. This is episode 10. Double digits, yay. Episode 10 of the Insomniac's Graveyard podcast, hosted by me, derickthinks. Um, I want to start off this podcast or this episode by reading an excerpt from a book by Chinua Achebe titled Things Fall Apart. Okonkwo did not taste any food for 2 days after the death of Ikemefuna. He drank palm wine from morning till night, and his eyes were red and fierce like the eyes of a rat when it was caught by the tail and dashed against the floor. He called his son, Nwoye, to sit with him in his obi, but the boy was afraid of him and slipped out the hut as soon as he noticed him dozing. He did not sleep at night. He tried not to think about Ikemefuna, but the more he tried, the more he thought about him. Once he got up from bed and walked about his compound, but he was so weak that his legs could hardly carry him. He felt like a drunken giant walking with the limbs of a mosquito. Now and then a cold shiver descended on his head and spread down his body. On the third day, he asked his second wife, Ekwefi, to roast plantains for him. She prepared it the way he liked, with slices of oil bean and fish. "You have not eaten for 2 days," said his daughter Enzima when she brought the food to him. "So you must finish this." She sat down and stretched her legs in front of her. Okonkwo ate the food absent-mindedly. She should have been a boy, he thought as he looked at his 10-year-old daughter. He passed her a piece of fish. "Go and bring me some cold water," he said. Izima rushed out the hut, chewing the fish, and soon returned with a bowl of cool water from the earthen pot in her mother's hut. Okonkwo took the bowl from her and gulped the water down. He ate a few more pieces of plantain and pushed the dish aside. "Bring me my bag," he said, and Nzima brought his goatskin bag from the far end of the hut. He searched in it for his snuff bottle. It was a deep bag and took almost the whole length of his arm. It contained the other things apart from his snuff bottle. There was a drinking horn in it, and also a drinking gourd, and they knocked against each other as he searched. When he brought out the snuff bottle, he tapped it a few times against his kneecap before taking out some snuff on the palm of his left hand. Then he remembered that he had not taken out his snuff spoon. He searched his bag again and brought out a small flat ivory spoon with which he carried the brown stuff to his nostrils. Izima took the dish in one hand and the empty water bowl in the other, and went back to her mother's hut. She should have been a boy, Okonkwo said to himself again. His mind went back to Ikemefuna, and he shivered. If only he could find some work to do, he'd be able to forget, but it was the season of rest between the harvest and the next planting season. The only work that men did at this time was covering the walls of the compound with new palm fronds, and Okonkwo already done that. He had finished it on the very day the locusts came, and when he had worked on one side of the wall, and Ikemefuna and Nwoye on the other. "When did you become a shivering old woman?" Okonkwo asked himself. "You, who are known in all the 9 villages for your valor in war. How can a man who has killed 5 men in battle fall to pieces because he's added a boy to their number? Okonkwo, you have become a woman indeed." He sprang to his feet, hung his goatskin bag on his shoulder, and went to visit his friend, Obierka. Obierka was sitting outside under the shade of an orange tree, making thatches from leaves of the raffia palm. He exchanged greetings with Okonkwo and led the way into his obi. "I was coming over to see you as soon as I finished that thatch," he said, rubbing off the grains of sand that clung to his thighs. "Is it well?" Okonkwo asked. "Yes," replied Obierka. "My daughter's suitor is coming today, and I hope we'll clinch the matter of the bride price. I want you to be there." Just then, Obierka's son, Maduka, came into the obi from outside, greeted Okonkwo, and turned towards the compound. Come and shake hands with me, Okonkwo said to the lad. Your wrestling the other day gave me much happiness. The boy smiled, shook hands with Okonkwo, and went into the compound. He will do great things, Okonkwo said. If I had a son like him, I should be happy. I'm worried about Nwoye. A bowl of pounded yams can throw him in a wrestling match. His two younger brothers are more promising, but I can tell you, Obierika, that my children do not resemble me. Where are the young suckers that will grow when the old banana tree dies? If Izinma had been a boy, I would have been happier. She has the right spirit. You worry yourself for nothing, said Obierika. The children are still very young. Nwoye is old enough to impregnate a woman. At his age, I was already fending for myself. No, my friend, he is not too young. A chick that will grow into a cock can be spotted the very day it hatches. I have done my best to make Nwoye grow into a man, but there's too much of his mother in him. Too much of his grandfather, Obierika thought, but he did not say it. The same thought also came to Okonkwo's mind, but he had long learned how to lay that ghost. Whenever he had thought of his father's weakness and failure troubled him, he expelled it by thinking about his own strength and success. And so he did now. His mind went on to the latest show of manliness. I cannot understand why you refused to come with us to kill that boy, he asked Obierika. Because I did not want to, Obierika replied sharply. I had something better to do. You sound as if you questioned the authority and the decision of the oracle. Who said he should die? I do not. Why should I? But the oracle did not ask me to carry out its decision. But someone had to do it. If we were all afraid of blood, it would not have been done. And what do you think the oracle would do then? You know very well, Okonkwo, that I am not afraid of blood, and if anyone tells you that I am, he is telling a lie. And let me tell you one thing, my friend, if I were you, I would have stayed at home. What you have done will not please the earth. It is the kind of action for which the goddess wipes out whole families. The earth cannot punish me for obeying her messenger, Okonkwo said. A child's fingers are not scalded by a piece of hot yam when his mother puts into its palm. That is true, Obierika agreed, but if the oracle said that my son should be killed, I would neither dispute it nor be the one to do it. They would have gone on arguing had Ofoedu had not come in just then. It was clear from his twinkling eyes that he had important news, but it would be impolite to rush him. Obierika offered him a lobe of the kola nut he'd broken with Okonkwo. Ofoedu ate slowly and talked about the locusts. When he finished his kola nut, he said, The things that have happened these days are very strange. What has happened? Asked Okonkwo. Do you know Ogbuefi Ndulu? Ofoedu asked. Ogbuefi Ndulu of our village? Okonkwo and Obierika said together. He died this morning, said Ofoedu. That is not strange. He was the oldest man in Ire, said Obierika. You are right, Ofoedu agreed. But you ought to ask why the drum has not beaten to tell Ofia of his death. Why? Asked Obierika and Okonkwo together. This is the strange part of it. You know his first wife who walks with a stick? Yes, she is called Ozoemena. That is so, said Ofoedu. Ozoemena was, as you know, too old to attend Ndulu during his illness. His younger wives did that. When he died this morning, one of these women went to Ozoemena's hut and told her. She rose from her mat, took the stick, and walked over to the obi. She knelt on her knees and hands at the threshold and called her husband, who was laid on a mat. Ogbuefi Ndulu, she called 3 times and went back to her hut. When the youngest wife went to call her again to be present at the washing of the body, she found her lying on the mat dead. That is very strange indeed, said Okonkwo. They'll put off Ndulu's funeral until his wife has been buried. That is why the drum has not been beaten to tell Umuofia. It was always said that Ndulu and Ozomena had one mind, said Obierika. I remember when I was a young boy there was a song about them. He could not do anything without telling her. I did not know that, said Okonkwo. I thought he was a strong man in his youth. He was indeed, said Ofoedu. Okonkwo shook his head doubtfully. He led Umuofia to war in those days, said Obierika. So that was an excerpt from Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. I don't know, many I'm sure if you like to read, you probably heard of this book, if not have read it. Um, it it's it's a book about uh like a Nigerian man or a Nigerian tribe, and I don't know. It's my understanding. It's very representative of Nigerian tribal culture. Um, way back, uh, bef- way back in the day, I guess before the Europeans came. Um, so this is another episode of the Insomniac's Graveyard Podcast. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone is well in the at least in the um northern hemisphere. I hope everyone's is braving the cold temperatures. I hope everyone's doing okay, staying warm and all that. As for the southern hemisphere, I hope everyone's enjoying their summer. Um, well, so I was thinking about what to talk about during this podcast, and I don't know, something in my mind like wouldn't let go of something that I've been feeling, or but thinking about something that I've been feeling for a number of months now. There's a fancy word for it, probably anybody with who's ever taken a psychology class or read a psychology book um, probably knows the term, but it's anhedonia, right? Uh, Anhedonia is just a fancy way of saying the lack of pleasure, and that's something I've been feeling for a long time, or for a while now, maybe number of months now, just the lack of pleasure. Now, this is not necessarily sexual pleasure, but I assume that can apply as well. But instead, just the lack of things that make you happy, the lack of feeling happy, the lack of the lack of feeling good, I suppose. Um, it, typically, when someone mentions anhedonia, and I'm pretty sure I've touched on this in past podcasts or past episodes. Um, Typically, the things that once made them happy no longer give them pleasure. Whether it be a hobby or a particular food or television show. And Now, while I could go on and on about that, um, you know, in a matter of self reflection, while I've been feeling this anhedonia for a number of months now, it made me think of what could possibly break this lack of pleasure, lack of happiness. Um, well, the first thing that came to mind was uh, travel. You know, I don't do much traveling, but I've realized that after I do a bit of traveling, to say another country or wherever, not necessarily to to sightsee or go backpacking or whatever, but maybe to visit relatives or visit old friends. You know, every time I return home from traveling, no matter if it's just a day or maybe a couple weeks, I don't know, something about it makes me feel pretty good. Not necessarily accomplished, but it feels good. Like I um I expanded more of myself, and I took more in, I guess, in a way. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like I it makes me feel like I've taken something and I've also given something at the same time, you know, uh, just that kind of feeling. that feeling of not necessarily wholeness or completeness, but like there's more to you. There's more to me. I guess. Again, I don't know if that makes sense. It kind of makes sense to me, but I don't know. I don't know if it makes sense to any of you listening. Um, but I don't know. Like I said, I don't do much traveling. I haven't like gone all over the place. I've not visited every continent, but I've visited some places that maybe some people would love to visit. I've spent I've spent a couple days in Japan and Korea. I spent the lengthy amount of time in the Philippines. I've been to you know Eastern and Western Canada numerous times. I've been to London. I've been to London and I spent a couple days in Paris as well. You know, not to mention uh, places throughout the United States, such as California. Uh, I've been to Las Vegas and I've been to Hawaii. Uh, just to name a few. I'm pretty sure there are other places that I'm pretty sure I've been um, that I've not said in detail, but I've been to several places. My passport has had a couple stamps in it throughout the years, right? That maybe past decade or two or so, right? Even as a child, I've been to, I will, I, my understanding, if I ask my parents, they'll tell you that they'll say that I've been on an airplane when I was just months old. Hopefully I wasn't that crying baby that people always dread hearing or sitting next to whenever they have a long flight. Um, but I don't know. I'd like to talk about maybe at least a couple of those travels. So when I was about 17 or 18, I remember going to Maui. Um, of course, did I remember doing the uh, the typical touristy thing. Stayed at a beautiful resort next to the beach, um, and did the luau and all that stuff, and was entertained by this Polynesian Hawaiian dancing whatever, right? It's lovely, of course. Uh, I the typical touristy Hawaii thing, which maybe some of you have done. Um, but I remember on most nights, you know, something about the sunset. Now, I love the sunsets where I live, and they're very beautiful, and they connect to me in a special way whenever I take the time to sit and view them. But something about the sunsets in Maui, they're just as beautiful, but in their own way. Maybe 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 it's something associated with the smell of the beach, or maybe I don't know, maybe just how the sun sets is just different. Maybe just the vastness of the ocean. Something about that maybe connects with me in a way. And I remember, I mean, I'd spent only a couple of weeks. I want to say a week, maybe 10 days there in Maui when I was like 17 or 18, and I remember, you know, just enjoying not only the sunsets but just like the lush greenness of everything. The just the fauna, right? Where it's tropical and something very unique to where other places are, and specifically where I live. You know the the trees and the brush is very unique. And I remember um I remember just driving or riding across the island in an open jeep, and which is, I don't know, it's just kind of movie esque, I guess you could say. But I remember just being in awe of pretty much everything, just the lush greenness. Even again, there's something about the smell in the air is a lot different. And I remember just just looking out at the road, at the side of the road, and just breathing in and out and in and out and in and out, and it was, I don't know, it was wonderful. And I remember coming home feeling a lot better. Of course, at that age, especially if you're, I guess you're, I mean, you know, guys and girls, but especially if you're a guy at that age, there tends to be a lot of angst and just rage and whatever. And I remember how that short trip to Hawaii, made me feel better, at least at least for a short period of time, coming home. Um, I remember, going to. I remember shoot, when I was a boy, I had I went with my family to England, to London, England, and it was I want to say it was maybe a year anniversary after the death of Princess Diana, you know, and of course that tragedy was still so fresh in many people's minds. And I remember as a tourist visiting Buckingham Palace, but being the anniversary of Princess Diana's death, you know, uh, for meters and meters, you can see, that, like, just people laying down flowers. There's just like flowers normally where people would stand and take pictures, or just a bunch of just flowers and notes and teddy bears just commemorating the anniversary of her death. And and that was a special experience for me because I was young. I was very young at the time. I want to say maybe 10 or 11. But I don't know. I guess that was what really kind of, not necessarily sparked my interest, but kind of made me a little bit more aware of the impact of someone's death, the impact of how the impact of someone's death um, could affect, so many people. All these people. Just at the gate of Buckingham Palace, there's, dozens of people sobbing, as if they knew this woman. And of course, with her life in her life in the spotlight in the media, I'd imagine, that a lot of people felt like they knew this woman personally, although they didn't. And of course, not to mention her humanitarian efforts and all the positive things, and all her positive influence. You know, and but I remember returning from that trip. Even as a little boy, just thinking about just the impact of a famous person, of an influential person's uh, death, and how maybe uh, that could impact me in the future. Of course, of course, everyone, even everyone feels some sort of thing whenever a celebrity is gone, or a famous person is gone, and it's just, I don't know. It's just I don't know. It had a somewhat profound effect on me, that London trip, when I came back home as a child. Mm, I feel like I've talked about celebrity deaths on here before, even if not just for a little bit. So I'm kind of getting a little bit of flashback or deja vu or whatever. So I don't want to. I try my best during this podcast to cover a variety of topics and try not to overlap too much between episodes. But sometimes I'll refer to a past episode and but like I am now, I guess. So um, but yeah, I mean, whoops. There's something weird with the audio for a minute. Um, but yeah, I mean, um, the benefit, traveling just as a whole, seeing different or seeing an unknown place, or just being surrounded by things that are completely foreign to you. They've I don't know, they seem to to affect the mind and spirit in a positive way. So I don't know. I mean, if I don't know, I would like to travel to other places too. I mean, I should have I have a lot of life left, so there's no rush, I suppose. But I'd like to go to um like Spain. I'd like to go to Spain, or I'd like to just visit places just that are a lot closer to me. That we have our own forests and mountains where I live, and I'd like to explore those more. You know, yeah. Okay. Um, I want to change gears here. If there's one hobby, I guess I can't say that no hobby, like while a lot of my hobbies don't give me pleasure. I can't say that all of them are you know all of them are negative in a way. I guess there's one hobby that I do somewhat enjoy, but I think it's more it's I see it as something more out of a necessity than something out of leisure. And that's cooking. Cooking is something that I enjoy. I'm not particularly good at it. I'll be honest. I'm not the best cook. I can't. You know, e- Even on my best days, I can't hold a candle to probably the some of the worst chefs, probably. I don't know. But I've been cooking since I was very young. I mean, of course, what's the first thing everyone learns how to cook? It's like breakfast, right? Eggs or frying bacon or something, right? And I remember in middle school, I took a couple cooking classes as part of the curriculum as electives. I've also early throughout high school I did that as well, and I mean, just the other day, I made a curry, a chicken curry, which I think was pretty good. Maybe a little bit on the spicy end, which is how I like it. Um, and a few weeks before that, I tried to make my own pho. Um, since I was feeling a little under the weather, I tried to make my own pho, which didn't really turn out right because apparently I was missing a few key ingredients, and I did not simmer the broth for long enough. So it just tasted kind of like a beef soup. Like just like a uh, a beef soup that with very simple beef soup, as opposed to the complexity of what a Vietnamese pho typically is. But yeah, I enjoy cooking. I mean, even if it's just to fry an egg to put to put in a burger, or even just to pop something in the oven. I don't know. There's something about the stove, or the kitchen setting, or or even just the preparation, the mise en place, which is something I like. It's therapeutic in a way. It's up there. It's up there with, like, for me, like doing laundry and washing dishes. I don't know, cooking, or at least just like chopping vegetables, or practicing my knife skills is something maybe I can consider to be therapeutic. Um, Now I can't say that those things like give me like pleasure, but simply they just, I don't know, I guess maybe they distract me, or I don't know, it's just a domestic task to, just, I guess, to give me a feeling of accomplishment in, like, in under the roof, in at home, I guess. Um, I mean, you know, it's good. Perhaps that's something that I should think about. Maybe I should think about um, doing one of those adult cooking classes. However, I do believe that you got to find the right ones, because some of them, you don't get your bang for your buck. I know those adult cooking classes can be quite expensive, and you don't, and in many times you don't leave those classes feeling like you learned something, or that you accomplished something. So of course I gotta choose wisely and carefully if I do plan to do one of those cooking classes, just for fun, I guess. But um I don't know. But I guess, well, there's also something about the whole eating what you prepared, especially if it tastes good. If it tastes like crap, then of course, it's not ideal, and you kind of just, out of for the sake of guilt, just choke it down, because you made this abomination, and then, well, you kind of got to punish yourself by just eating it, no matter how bad it tastes. However, when you cook something good, you feel like, yeah, I cook something amazing. Maybe other people will like it. But of course, I I'm not that confident yet. While I like cooking, and maybe I'm decent at it in some aspects over others, uh, I'm not that confident in cooking for others just quite yet. Although I took a I've been cooking, I guess, for myself for the better part of a decade or so. I haven't. I guess I haven't gained that confidence yet. I guess it's just the fear of criticism. If it's too bland or just tastes awful. And and I'm pretty sure you can tell. I've watched enough of those those cooking shows, those cooking competition shows, that when someone's food tastes bad, it's very difficult to hide the fact that it tastes bad. So I wouldn't, even without the criticism, just if I see like a weird look on someone's face after eating my cooking, I'd probably be devastated. But yeah, I think, it's, of course, it's a basic thing to learn, right? Especially if you're if you can't afford going out to eat all the time, or if you're just, trying to support yourself, cooking basic things is what I think everyone should learn how to do. Something like something like frying an egg, or scrambling an egg, or making an omelet, right? Everyone should learn how to do that. Um, I think maybe roasting a chicken. Roasting a chicken is for the most part quite simple. Probably the tying of the chicken. You get some twine, and you truss the chicken, I guess, is the correct term. I could be wrong, but and then sprinkle some thyme, rosemary, salt, pepper, whatever, a little bit of butter, I guess, and you got yourself a roasted chicken. I think that should be something that everyone knows how to do. Not necessarily well, not necessarily well, but just knows how to do, um, you know, capably, I guess. Of course, no one's asking to, like, I don't think everyone should learn how to properly cook, like like in a sous vide machine, or cook these complex broths, or the mother sauces or whatever. But maybe that's something I should try to get into. Maybe learn how to how to refine my skills when it comes to, say, broths, stocks, soups, and sauces. Right? That's I mean, if you know how to do that, then I'm pretty sure there are, like, at least 100 things that you can prepare that's unique. You know, because of course, I mean, you can only fry eggs so much and roast so many chickens that maybe you'll get kind of bored of it. Of course, with roasted chicken that comes roasted vegetables, which is, if not more simple than roasting a chicken, right? Just roasting vegetables, root vegetables, potatoes, parsnips, carrots, all that. But oh, anyway, I'm obviously trailing off. That I think that little audio blip, or I don't know if it was an audio blip. I don't know if this is even recording right now. I hope it is still. But kind of took the wind out of my sails. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, cooking is something maybe that I should do more of, to try to just gain something in myself back. Maybe try to I don't know. Maybe there probably a couple, maybe other new hobbies or whatever that I should take up. But I don't know. It's just really hard to get motivated sometimes. But I don't know. At the same time, though, I know I need to be grateful. I need to be grateful for what I have. Um, you know, well, as I get older, of course, uh, my parents are getting older, and of course, as they get older, they're going through some health issues, but I'm grateful that they're still around and still relatively healthy. So that's something good. I'm grateful that um, well, I don't have a million friends. I do have a close, you know dozen or so that that are constantly here for me, and will always be willing to talk to me if I need to talk and I'm not feeling very good. Um, yeah, it's just, I don't know. Of course, I mean, the majority of this podcast is me just talking. Maybe the majority of this podcast is me just telling the listener, you the listener, how I feel about whatever thing, right? Because it's Derek thinks. How I whatever it is on my mind, I'm gonna say it. How I think, what's going through my mind, how I feel, any emotions, etc. Right? But I know that I have a lot to be grateful for. Um, of course, it could be way worse. I could be out on the street or something. I could not have something to eat, or whatever. But I do. I'm very comfortable where I live, and I've never gone hungry, which is something I'm very grateful for. And I have I have you know a lot of people to thank, just to who've kept me here, who've kept me um from falling on my face, and whenever I have fallen on my face, I have a lot of people to thank, who've uh who've grabbed me by the back of my shirt, and lifted me back up, and sprayed a hose on me and cleaned me off. But yeah, I mean, this is, I guess I could dedicate every episode to the people who will always have my back, right? Okay, well, okay. I guess that's it. That's it for this episode. Episode 10, double digits. What? Uh, yeah, I mean, it's a little, you know, I guess it's just a common thing if you do listen, and thank you so much if you do listen, but also poor you for having to hear me drown on about basically just nothing of real, nothing of real merit or substance. It's just me rambling. You know, but clearly I have a lot. I have you listeners to thank as well. And whether there's one of you or a dozen of you, probably no more than like five of you. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being modest, but clearly I don't know. I don't think many people really care about what I have to say, even though I still do this because, well, I do it for me. I do it for me, and if it can help you in any way, then that's fantastic. And if you do listen and you are on social media, such as Twitter or Instagram, you can hit me up with questions, comments, feedback. You want to tell me places that you've traveled, or your experiences with anhedonia and how you managed to break free from it, or maybe if you want to tell me the things that you like to cook, or places that you love to travel, or places where you want to go. Did I say that already? Shit. Okay. Okay. But yeah. So you want to hit me up with any questions, comments, feedback? You can find me at derickthinks, DERICKTHINKS on Twitter and Instagram. If you're listening to this on SoundCloud, you can comment there. If you're listening to this on YouTube, because I do post this on YouTube, um, you can post a comment there as well. So yeah, that's DERICKTHINKS. So now I want to conclude this episode, again, episode 10, with, it'd be funny if it wasn't episode 10 all along, like episode like 9 or something. I'm just getting excited about episode 10 for nothing, right? But I'd like to conclude this episode with a poem. It's a poem by Edna St. Vincent Millay, and it is titled Love is Not All. Love is not all. It is not meat nor drink, nor slumber, nor a roof against the rain, nor yet a floating spar to men that sink and rise and sink and rise and sink again. Love cannot fill the thickened lung with breath, nor clean the blood, nor set the fractured bone. Yet many a man is making friends with death, even as I speak, for lack of love alone. It well may be that in a difficult hour, pinned down by pain and moaning for release, or nagged by want past resolution's power, I might be driven to sell your love for peace, or trade the memory of this night for food. It well may be. I do not think I would.